Chapter 91. 91, The Ball 2. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Everyone present were looking at the entrance to see the people streaming in. When the Leonard and Serena made their entrance, there was a pause as everyone took in the beauty of the two. They were indeed a pair of handsome siblings. Serena on the other hand just observed the venue. Although they were just in the school's assembly hall, Mary and Gina outdid themselves by transforming it to a magical midnight Christmas-themed setting. The area, at the moment, was lit by bright spotlights, but she can already imagine how it will look like once those were dimmed. The high ceiling that was like an observatory was covered with midnight blue cloth with blue Christmas lights that made it look starry. There were seats by the three walls for everyone to sit on when not dancing, and there were cocktail tables draped in silver and blue, while on the middle as centerpieces, were artificial white manzanita branches hanged with crystals, and blue and silver balls. Beside the stage was a blue Christmas tree. She vaguely thought that she should have worn a silver-colored dress instead. However, looking at the people in the ball, everyone was wearing clothes of varying shades. So, it did not make her out of place. The ladies were in floor-length gowns that balloon out from the waist, while some had trailing skirts which she assumed must have a loop they can use to hold it up for dancing. On the other hand, the gentlemen were all wearing formal dress suits or some military or band uniforms. Serena. Giselle called, as she saw Serena and Leonard approaching. "You're here earlier. I thought we can meet at the registry. My brother and I were part of the organizing committee, so we did not have to line up. By the way, you two sure did make an entrance," Serena explained as she looked at Giselle and Millie. Beside them were George and Paul, their escorts. "I would have wanted to see you make the entrance too. Anyway, we're still a little early." "Have Via and Kylo been announced?" Millie said. "Not yet. I haven't seen either of the two as of the moment." "Excuse me. Serena, I'll leave you here for the moment. I will get back to you after the school dignitaries are done with their messages." Leonard interrupted, seeing that the venue is now half full. He also saw Joan beckoning him over to the backstage. "Don't I have to go with you to help?" "No need, this is your first school ball, so just enjoy." "I can manage," Leonard said, smiling at her. "All right. Then, I will see you later," Serena said as she gave him a grateful smile. She was not really interested with working on the program. She just wanted to enjoy the ball and see Charlton. By the way, where was he? Leonard nodded at her, then at her friends. "Please watch over Serena for the moment." "Thank you." The girls, who were still mesmerized by his handsome visage, nodded their heads. Then looked at Serena pleadingly. Serena understood what they meant, so before Leonard could leave, she pulled his arm and whispered to his ear, "Do dance with my friends later. Ask for their dance cards now." Leonard, who does not really want to participate, was left with no choice. He smiled at both girls and asked, "Would you two please honor me with a dance this evening?" Of course, the two nodded enthusiastically as they pulled out their dance cards. Leonard asked Millie for the third dance, which was the Lancers, and Giselle for the fifth one, which was the polka. He proceeded to mark his own before leaving. When Leonard left, George looked at his sister Giselle. He wanted her to help him get a dance from Serena. Giselle rolled her eyes. "Serena, do you still have a space in your dance card?" she asked. "Ugh, don't ask me. My dance card is with my brother Leonard. He won't even let me see it until the dance commences." "Whoa, I never imagined that your brother can be so protective," Giselle said, but she still managed to grin. "Well, truth be told though, I like it." George wanted to facepalm at his sister's words. However, he just chose to ignore it. What can he do? "Ladies, please excuse me, I will just go over to the other side and meet with my friends." "Giselle, I'll see you later before the dance commences." George excused. He did not want to hear his sisters blabbering anymore and giving him the eye that says, "My friend is too good for you." Paul, seeing his friend leave, thought it improper for himself to remain with the ladies. "Ah, I will go join George. Please, excuse me too. I will see you later, Miss Millie," he said with a smile. When the three were left on their own, they smiled at each other. They were about to move when they heard the master of ceremonies announced Kylo and Via's name. As the two made their entry, Giselle whistled. "Although I hate to admit, Kylo is looking really good tonight. He and Via look like a match made in heaven." Then she saw Via irately let go of Kylo's hand after their entrance, "or hell," she added, laughing at the joke she made. After the two, Serena heard Charlton's name being announced. He entered the ball alone. That night, he was wearing a black tailcoat with Chinese-looking collar left open in the middle trimmed with gold. His vest was also in matching black and gold and closed up to his upper chest so that one can only see his white inner cloth through the cuffs of his coat sleeves. He was adorning a white ruffled jabot made of lace, and in the middle, located just below his neck, was a gold brooch encrusted with a large ruby. He was also wearing white gloves like the others, and his brown hair was brushed back, parted at the middle. Serena noticed his eyes moving as if looking for something, and when his eyes met hers he gave her that lopsided smirk revealing his dimple. She felt like her heart was pounding a mile per second as she blushed. He looked like the devil and she just wanted to rush over and claim him as hers. TBC. Chapter 92. 92, The Ball 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Charlton chose not to escort any lady as he did not want to have his attention split elsewhere. When he entered the ball, the first thing he did was look for Serena. He wanted to see her since earlier, but Kylo insisted that they go together. Kylo, much to his annoyance, took a longer time to prepare. He said that he wanted to look really good for his date. Thus, when they arrived at the lobby of the ladies' dormitory, it was already almost empty. Vea looked vexed. She did not even give Kylo a single smile since they saw each other. Not even taking his hand when he offered. Well, he thought that it just served him right. When his eyes met Serena's, he felt like the world suddenly stopped moving and he could not hear a sound. She was all he saw. She was there, looking straight at him, and she was more beautiful than he has even seen her. She was in a red gown and the necklace he gave her was adorning her neck. He walked towards where she was, and he saw her smile at him. The world started moving before he can reach her as Kylo started acting like a kicked puppy. "Charlie, come on, you're my brother, please help me." Charlton had to break eye contact because of that. This pest made him arrive a little late, so he shrugged his hand holding his arm. However, noting that he can only approach Serena because of him being Via's escort, he could only say, "Fine, let me try." Via went to join her friends. She didn't understand why, but she was sorely disappointed that Kylo arrived later than their appointed time. She did not know what she expected, but at the very least, he should have arrived on time. "What's wrong?" Millie asked, seeing Kylo trailing a few steps behind Via. "Nothing," she replied. She should stop acting like a jilted lover, they were not even late for the party. Serena gave Via a knowing look. Seems like her friend was starting to grow some feelings for Kylo. Not that she approves, but Via was her own person capable of judging for herself. "Ladies, how's your evening going?" Kylo greeted. Giselle and Millie rolled their eyes at him. "Good evening, Giselle, Millie, and Serena." Charlton greeted, his eyes lingering on Serena. The girls all greeted Charlton back. Knowing that he wanted to talk to Serena, they pretended to discuss about other matters, giving the two time to speak without looking like they were alone. "May I have the honor to pen my name in your dance card?" Charlton asked. Aside from the last waltz, he wanted to pen his name for the two-dot step, which was the dance before the intermission. It was especially important because her partner for that dance will get to escort her to the refreshments area. "Don't ask me, my dance card is with Brother Leonard. I will only receive it once the dancing commences. But worry not, I have specifically asked him not to let anyone fill in their name for the second waltz. I, of course, have saved the last dance for you. Serena said as she smiled at him. Charlton can do nothing but smile back. Then I will be waiting until then. He replied. What's up with Leonard? It's not like he would behave inappropriately and dance with his sister more than twice. Anyway, he can try again later when Leonard returns it to her. Hopefully, there will still be some blank spaces. Serena encouraged him to dance with her friends, so having no choice, he got his dance card marked for the 3 dances. The first quadrille after the Grand March with Via, the Lancers with Giselle and the Gallop with Millie. Anyway, etiquette and propriety calls that he dances with some ladies. After a while, the Master of Ceremonies called everyone's attention for the program was about to begin. Thus, Kylo and Charlton excused themselves and walked to the other side of the ballroom. The students were divided into 2 sides, the ladies on the left and gentlemen on the right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first ball of the school year. I am teacher Julio Mendez, just in case you don't know, and it is my honor and privilege to be the Master of Ceremonies at this momentous occasion. Now, let us first begin this event with a prayer. Teacher Grace Astoria. Grace went to the stage and led a prayer. When Grace was done with the prayer, the school hymn was played. Afterwards, Julio requested the school principal to share his opening message. The school principal walked to the front of the stage, received the mic, and started his message. Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure to see all your young faces brimming with excitement. I know that most of you don't want to hear what I have to say, as I know you are all excited to begin the dancing. I have been in your shoes once, and I understand how you feel. So, I will keep this short. Tonight, we celebrate our school's 150th founding anniversary and the Christmas season. So I hope all of you will have a grand time, forget all your school work in the meantime, enjoy the last day before the school holidays, while also observing proper etiquette. I will see you all again next year. Thank you. And do I really have to say this? The principal laughed, then he added, with this I pronounce the dance floor open. Then the students started cheering. Julio received the mic back. Before asking the orchestra to start playing the music, he thanked the organizing committee first, telling that the event was made possible by the contributions of the student council. During that time, all the gentlemen went back to their respective partners in preparation for the Grand March. Leonard went to Serena's side. Then, he handed her dance card. Serena gratefully took it back as she looked at the names listed. She looked at the last dance first and saw it blank along with the 2 before it. Serena smiled, perhaps she can have one of the 2 with Charlton too. However, aside from that, her dance card was full. The Grand March, the first quadrille and the first dance after the intermission, which was another quadrille, will be with Leonard. The others will be with the other council members, and other guys she doesn't know. She noted Jeffrey's name was also listed 3 times. The third dance which was the Lancers, the 10th dance which was the waltz, and the 11th dance which was the 2-step before the intermission. She sighed, that means that he will escort her during the intermission. Seems like Leonard was really trying to help them cultivate feelings for each other, which she doesn't think Jeffrey and herself wanted in the first place. Anyway, the orchestra started playing, signaling that the Grand March was about to begin. From the corner of her eyes, she saw Emily being escorted by Douglas while thinking, oh, I thought that she's attending with Jeffrey. If not her, then who did he attend with? TBC. Chapter 93. 93, The Ball for You are listening at novelfull.audio. Her question was answered for her when she saw Jeffrey at the front taking position to lead the Grand March with Joan. He was wearing an elegantly stylish doublet with the collar pointed up. It was in the color of ivory and gold. His hair was brushed back, and he looked particularly handsome that night. Everything about him was befitting of his station. Behind him was Artemis, who was escorting Diana. They were followed by Diether and a girl she did not recognize. Leonard led her to take their position, which was the fifth pair from the leader. At the background, Serena heard the beginning of Verdi's Ida playing. Geoffrey and Joan as the leader heads of the line marched up to the center of the room and everyone else followed. Then they continued until they reached the head. He turned to the left and she to the right, the gentlemen followed him and ladies followed her. When the two of them reached the bottom they pass each other, this time the lines were already forming two circles, the line of gentlemen going around on the outside, and the ladies on the inside, and in the opposite direction. Then, when the two met each other again at the top of the room, they marched together around the room followed by the others. There were more than 100 pairs during this grand march. All the ladies participated while the gentleman who did not come with a partner for the night was left sitting at the sidelines. How sad was that? Anyway, Serena's eyes met with Charlton in the passing, and they smiled at each other. When the grand march ended, and the introductory song began for the quadrille started playing, Kylo led Via to Charlton. Charlton took her hand and led her to a position where Leonard and Serena were. Their eyes met and as if they were reading each other's mind, they understood what the other was thinking. Both thought that at least this way, it was like they were dancing with each other too. When the song ended and the one for the Lancers was about to begin, Leonard, seeing Geoffrey waiting, led Serena over, making the two meet each other the first time for the night. Geoffrey had already seen Serena earlier when she entered the venue. He wanted to approach her then, but he was still talking to the school dignitaries at that time. When he saw Leonard coming over with a lady's dance card, he knew that it must be Serena's. Thus, right after talking to the principal, he approached Leonard with a mission. Luckily, at that time, her dance card was still empty except for the Grand March, the first quadrille and another after the intermission. In truth, he wanted to fill his names on all the blanks but knew that it would not be appropriate. At most, he can only dance with her 3 times as she was her fiancée. Thus, he must choose the right ones. His first choice was the 2-dot step before the intermission, followed by the second waltz, which was the last dance for the night. However, Leonard told him that her sister might be too tired by then and so requested to leave the last 2 dances blank first. Geoffrey accepted that and settled for the Blue Danube, which was the only other waltz. He was fine with that too. His third choice was the third dance, simply because he can't wait to talk to her already. After the Grand March, he did not dance the quadrille with anyone. That was because he wanted to meet her right after the quadrille ended. He positioned himself near them so Leonard can see him immediately. Luckily, he did, and as he approached, Leonard also met him halfway with Serena in tow. Geoffrey offered his hand to Serena and she accepted it. Then he led her back to the dance floor. As they were waiting for the other dancers to take their position, he started their conversation. "You look lovely tonight." Geoffrey complimented her with a smile, trying to sound friendly when in fact his heart was beating in a very fast pace. Serena, feeling flattered, blushed. It was the first time he complimented her looks to her face. "You too," she replied dumbly. Tonight, his male lead aura was exuding from him in waves. Since a lot of people were already filling the dance floor again, they had to cut their conversation short. Geoffrey was satisfied seeing her blush. At the very least, he took it as her not being immune to his charms. The Lancers was pretty similar to the quadrille, only more energetic. It was a square dance performed by 4 couples. Going back to the dance floor after fetching Giselle, Charlton saw Serena blush with whatever it was Geoffrey told her. Suddenly he felt some jealousy rising within him. However, he tried to control himself as he joined them with Giselle. The other 2 couples with them were Leonard and Millie, and Artemis and Gina. Charlton did not enjoy the Lancers like he did the quadrille. He saw how Geoffrey looked at Serena and Serena smiling back at him. He knew he should know better, but he could not stop the churning in his chest. After the Lancers was the gallop, which he will dance with Millie. Thankfully, Artemis was Serena's partner this time. So, he could lay his jealousy at bay. After that, he had no more dance engagement. Wanting a chance to talk to Serena, he remained at the sidelines, looking at her every time a song ended. A lot of ladies were eyeing him, but he chose to ignore them. He had no plans of dancing anymore. He just wanted to talk to Serena and see her dance card. But much to his disappointment, even when the 8th song ended, she was still in the dance floor. Truth be told, he was not a bit happy with how things were unfolding. When the introductory song for the Blue Danube started playing, Jeffrey went to Serena's side to ask for her hand. Serena placed her hand in his. She was actually enjoying the night very much. It has been quite a long time since she attended a ball. In her time, balls like this became out of fashion already. But she did experience attending some in her younger years. She was glad that she can now use again these dances she took pains in learning. Like what Charlton did in the celebration they attended, Jeffrey placed his hand behind her as she laid her hand on his shoulder. He smiled at her, and she smiled back at him. She found it funny that he looked just like a prince from a fairy tale, and the Blue Danube which the orchestra was playing sounded like the waltz of the geese. She funnily thought that every time the music reaches a certain part, it would be the ducks squeaking she hears. Jeffrey on his part liked the way Serena was laughing every so often. It seems like she was enjoying his company as much as he was enjoying hers. TBC. Chapter 94. 94, The Ball v. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Charlton saw Jeffrey laying claim on Serena once more and saw how he placed his arm on the small of her back, he wanted to storm over and pull her away from him. She has danced with a lot of other men, but he did not feel this strongly. That was their second dance. When the dance ended and the song for the 2-step came up, he could no longer stop himself. He was about to approach the 2 to ask for Serena's hand. However, he felt a hand grip his shoulder, effectively stopping him. He wanted to shrug the hand away, but he heard Leonard's voice telling him to stop. Charlton was brought back to his senses as he turned to face Leonard. He wanted to tell him a piece of his mind, but there were a lot of people around. At the corner of his eyes, he saw that Jeffrey did not let go of Serena's hand. Meaning he was her partner for the 2-step. It was his third dance with her. He knew he had no right to be angry, but he was. I also have 3 dances with her. Leonard explained. Does that make a difference? He replied. Leonard sighed as he motioned Charlton to walk with him towards an empty balcony. Charlton, not really having much option, chose to follow. Jeffrey did not let go of Serena's hand even after the waltz ended. He wanted to tell her that he enjoyed the night very much. He was never fond of balls, but tonight he took delight in it. Won't Emily be disappointed that you're not dancing the next song with her? Serena could not help reminding him. What has she got to do with this? Jeffrey asked, confused. Serena gave him a knowing look in return. This will be our 3rd dance, and besides, don't you like spending time with her? She asked. She actually wanted to dance with Charlton for the next song but had no other way to tell Jeffrey. Jeffrey sighed. Serena, I will be lying if I were to say that I don't know what you're trying to insinuate. Perhaps you are misunderstanding something, so let me straighten things up. I want you to know that it is you who is my intended, and I have every intention to keep it that way. So please don't mind her. He confessed as he gave her a small smile. Why are you trying to come between us now? I thought you were keeping your arms crossed. Charlton asked while trying to keep his anger at bay. That was before. Things are different now. Jeffrey is giving Serena the attention she deserves. So. That's it. Just because he has shown interest, you have decided to push her in his arms. Charlton, you have to understand. What they have is a royal decree. Not just a simple talk between families that will bear little repercussions if it were to be broken. I believe that this will be better for not just my sister, but also for you. Who are you to judge what is better for us? Who gave you the right? I am her brother. It is my duty to ensure her safety and happiness. Leonard replied, now also getting a bit infuriated with how Charlton is acting. What made you think that he could make her happy? Why? Could you? Why the hell not? She is my world, Leonard. You have to understand. It is you who should understand. You think you can really make her happy. All you can bring her is endless misery. Do you get me? Do you even understand my point? I may not have as much as Jeffrey, but I will give her my everything. And you think that is enough? Everything you could ever give her, all that you can offer, she already has. Jeffrey can make her the queen. Can you? Aside from that, if you choose to continue with whatever that is between you, what will happen to Serena? Where will you bring her? You will just ruin her life. Everything was fine, but this time, what will Jeffrey say? What will he do? Do you even understand what the hell you're trying to do to my sister? To my family? Even to yours? So, if you still have any respect for me as your friend, stop this nonsense now. I do not want to see you around my sister any longer. Charlton felt every word he said pierce his heart. He knew all those things, but he has always been living in denial. How could he to give her up when she was his world? And if she chooses not to let go, he just had to ask. My sister is still a young lady who just exited her boudoir. She has always been spoiled. Our parents have never even left her wanting. So, if she had not known better, forgive her. But you should know better. Jeffrey is the crown prince. He will be our next king. You should understand at least that much. Serena was left astonished with what Jeffrey said. She saw all the signs and should have known that this was coming. However, she lived in denial. Always trying to interpret his actions as that of just being friendly. Now, the bare truth was laid in front of her. She did not know what to say nor do. Jeffrey saw the shock on her face, but he did not let it get to him. He did not expect a reply from her immediately, or for her to confess any love for him. He knew that he has not been very nice to her at the beginning. But on a positive note, things are now turning for the better. Besides, he still has a lifetime to remedy that and let her see him in a positive light. Maybe, even grow to love him too. Serena did not get the chance to continue their conversation for the two-step dance just commenced. Because of her mind being afloat, she stepped on his feet a couple of times. If Jeffrey felt any pain, he did not show it on his face. He just kept on smiling at her. TBC. Chapter 95. 95, The Ball 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the song ended, it was the intermission, and the lights were dimmed, making the people in the hall feel like they were under the stars. It was truly spectacular. Jeffrey did not let go of Serena's hand, but it was her who pulled away. He took it as her still being shocked with what he said. Perhaps he was too forward. Anyway, it still felt good that he was able to get those words out of his mouth. Although there was an invisible wall between them, they still walked together to the refreshment room. Serena felt her throat was dry, and with her nerves being on overdrive, she took a glass of champagne and drank it in one gulp. Careful, Jeffrey said. Serena did not know what to say, so she just kept her silence. Then, she moved to get another one, drinking it slowly this time. They remained like that, Jeffrey peeking glances at her, pretending not to see. Things were awkward as can be. After a while, Serena saw Leonard come in the refreshment room. Wanting to escape from Jeffrey, she excused herself. "Ah, I see my brother over there. I wish to speak with him, so, if it is all right with you." Jeffrey understood her predicament. Maybe it really came as a shock to her. Anyway, he nodded his head. "I will bring you to him." Serena wanted to say that there's no need, but before she could protest, he held out his hand to help her. Not having a choice, she placed her hand on his gloved palm. "Brother Leonard, here you are, I have been looking for you all over." Serena said a little exaggeratedly, well, she really wanted to escape from Jeffrey's company. Leonard took her offered hand and she let go of Jeffrey's. Jeffrey nodded at him, and then left the two of them together. He knew Serena needed some time away from him to think things over. Serena saw another glass of champagne and took a drink. Have you seen Charlton? I need to speak with him. Serena asked Leonard. Leonard looked at his sister, she looked flustered and a bit panicky. Did Jeffrey confess his feelings for her? Then all the more that she should stop meeting with Charlton. No, I haven't seen him around. Why? Serena, seeing the look he gave her, can only smile sheepishly. Charlton was still in the balcony. After Leonard said those words and left, he felt like the world was closing in on him. He understood every word he said. He did not even need to elaborate. From the very beginning, he already had those thoughts in mind. The only difference was now, his insecurities were directly slapped to his face. He did not want to, but he could do nothing at the moment but wallow in self-pity. There you are, I've been looking for you all over. Kylo said as he approached him. What are you doing here outside all alone? You will have a better chance meeting your lady love at the refreshment room. Charlton just shook his head. He was not in the mood to talk. What will he tell Kylo anyway? That Leonard said the same words that he had always warned him about. I understand how you feel. Vea is not giving me any attention. She danced with other men instead of me, her partner. Anyway, here. I think you need this more than I do. He said as he handed him a bottle of fine scotch. Interpreting his mood as being pissed because Serena has been dancing with other men. Where did you get this? I have my ways. He grinned. Thank you. Anytime. Anyway, I'm off. Maybe I can still get forgiven and chance upon Vea in a better mood at the refreshment room. Charlton just nodded his head and leaned his forearms on the balcony railing. Drinking the scotch straight from the bottle from time to time. The intermission was about to end when Serena saw Kylo trying to follow Vea around. She went to approach him quickly as Leonard trailed behind her. Kylo, have you seen Charlton? Oh, hey Serena. Can you help me talk to Vea? She's been ignoring me since earlier. It's your fault for being late. Anyway, alright. She said as she called Vea, hopefully with this, he will help her find Charlton too. Vea. She called. Yes, she replied. She knew that Kylo just asked for her friend's help. She too wanted to forgive Kylo, but she was holding on to her pride. Thankfully, Serena became the bridge. At least with this, she can pretend that he was only forgiving him to give her friend some face. Someone was wondering if your dance card is full. Vea smiled, I think it still has space for one more dance. Kylo grinned. Thankfully, the only blank space left on her card was the second waltz, the one he too has been aiming for. Then, as if just recalling Serena's question earlier, he said, I saw Charlton very lonesome at one of the balconies earlier. Maybe you should go and join him. Serena nodded gratefully. So that was where he was hiding. He must be acting all jealous now. She was about to go look for him, but Leonard stopped her. Telling her that the dances were now about to begin. Serena nodded her head, anyway, she can look for him later. Their appointment was the last dance anyway. Oh, sorry, I thought this place was empty. Emily said as she stumbled in the balcony. Charlton sighed. He wanted to be alone, but seeing that it was Emily, Jeffrey's lover, well he supposed, he should say abandoned lover now, he chose to let her have the space, she needed it more than he did. No, it's okay. I don't own this place anyway. He was about to leave when she held on to his arm. Wait, I need someone to talk to. So please. Charlton sighed. It was none of his business, but perhaps he was too melancholic at that moment. Finding her more pitiful than he was, he decided to accompany her. Besides, he was not getting to join Serena until the last dance, and he hated to see her in another man's arms. He decided not to let what Leonard said get to him unless he hears those words from Serena's own mouth. From the beginning, the two of them knew what they were getting into. Leonard will not understand because he was not the one in their shoes. tbcl.rg. Chapter 96. 96, The Ball 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why? He asked. Well, I don't know. At this moment I just find myself laughable. Trying to hold on to a man I have no chance to be with in the first place. We had a beautiful beginning, you know. Charlton hummed as a reply, telling her that he was listening, and she can go on speaking. I guess you already know who I am pertaining to because I think you feel the same way about his intended. Emily said further. Charlton felt his eyes widen. If she knew, then does Geoffrey also know? She chuckled seeing that she got his attention now. He doesn't know, I never told him about it. You better not, because if you do, then forgive me for not being polite. He warned. Please, I don't mean any harm. I see what you see in her. Serena is perfect in every way. I can only wish to be like her. Okay. Then what do you want? Nothing. I just want to get this off my chest, you know. It's so difficult keeping everything in. The secrecy, being a lover who can merely stand in the shadow. You understand me, right? Charlton furrowed his brows. Seeing that she doesn't mean any harm, he let his guard down and continued drinking his scotch. I am not like you. He said. Serena will never abandon him. At least he hoped. When the 18th song just ended, Serena felt that her feet was starting to kill her. She also felt a little tipsy, the effects of the 2 glasses of champagne she drank getting in her system. Anyway, she was finally free. She still has not seen Charlton, maybe he was still sulking in one of the balconies. Seeing that she already escaped Leonard's watchful eyes, she climbed up the stairs leading to the mezzanine. There were some students that did not want to dance mingling in the area. At the end just above the stage, there were 8 doors which Serena presumed led to small balconies. Serena walked over trying to find which balcony Charlton was in. As the weather was cold, the balconies were mostly empty. Anyway, as she reached the 5th one, she heard Charlton's voice. She was about to walk over when she heard a voice which she can only presume as female. She was giggling at whatever Charlton said. She knew that it was wrong to eavesdrop, but she couldn't help it. She was curious what the two were talking about. How do you do it? Emily asked. Charlton sighed. He was getting a little drank from all the scotch he has been drinking. Anyway, he found out that Emily was not that bad. If you really love a person, then you will think that any sacrifice is worth it. If you know that the person you love loves you back, it will also give you the strength to carry on. It will give you the courage to face everything and hope that in the end, everything will work out just fine. I wish I could find someone who will love me like that in this lifetime. I thought I had that with him, but, see where it brought me. Serena is really lucky to have you. You know that, right? No. It's me who is lucky to have her. While having their talk, Emily noticed that Charlton was getting a little drunk. She did not really have any ill intention on him, but the longer they talk, the more that she felt jealous of Serena. She has this man, and she was still playing with Geoffrey's heart. How could she do that? Talk about the devil, and there she appears. Emily saw Serena looking for someone through the open doors of the other balconies. She was walking to their direction now. As Charlton was facing her, he didn't see her. Thinking of giving her a bitter taste of her own medicine, she smirked. You're such a good man, I can only hope that I will be able to find someone like you in the future. Serena moved a little, leaning on the side of the open door while trying to hide behind the curtain, so that she can see who Charlton was speaking to. The first thing she saw was her white gown. Then, her brown hair which was arranged in a low braid. It was Emily and she was talking to Charlton privately. She didn't know how she did it, but she managed to stop herself from storming over. It seems like they didn't notice her, so she continued to look at them, trying to listen in on their conversation. Charlton felt that there was something wrong with Emily's words, but let it go. He was not in the right mind to read between the lines. Don't worry. You're a fine catch yourself, so a lot of men will like you in the future. He replied. You really think so? Yes. I know so. So, do you think I'm pretty? She said, showing him a shy smile. Charlton was surprised with her words, but thinking that there's nothing wrong with admitting the truth, he can only reply with a yes. Then out of nowhere, she leaned forward to kiss him. Then, she wrapped her arms around him. Charlton was not able to react quickly. Even Serena was not that forward with him at the beginning. He wanted to push her away, but he still had some sense of not wanting to accidentally hurt her, as he might not be able to control his force. He was pushed out of his reverie when he heard a thud, indicating that someone saw them. He held both her arms to untangle himself from her hold. Emily felt him trying to remove her hold. As she heard the thud, and saw Serena walking briskly away, she let him go. What is wrong with you? He said. He removed his hands from her after he kept her at arm's length. I'm sorry. That was an accident. It's just that I've never had someone say those words to me before. Charlton sighed. This will never happen again. He wanted to say more but chose not to. It has never been in his style to disrespect women. Ednell.co. Then, he turned to leave. TBC. Chapter 97. 97, The Ball 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As he went back inside, he saw a dance card lying on the floor. Curious, he picked it up. Who could have come here and dropped her dance card? He wondered. Hopefully, just some random girl. She might have seen Emily kissing him and was so surprised that she ran away. She did not even bother to pick her card. Anyway, as he was curious, he opened it. The first thing he saw was Leonard's name, then followed by Jeffrey's. He felt his ear beating rapidly. Who else could own this card? He saw that at the bottom, the last two dances were filled with his name written in her own handwriting. He felt his hand shaking. Did she see? Obviously, she did. If he knew that she was there, he would have pushed Emily away, her getting hurt be damned. However, he had no time to ponder the what-ifs. He just wanted to get to her and explain. As he moved to walk down the stairs, he heard the last note of a particular song signifying its end. Then, the introductory portion of the second waltz started playing. Where was she? He looked around until he finally saw her dancing in the arms of Jeffrey. Unlike the first time he saw her dancing with him, this time, she was showing Jeffrey her coquettish smile, her dimples showing. She was dancing closely to him and was openly flirting with her eyes. He knew that look because she has used that on him over 100 times. Their eyes met and he saw the anger in her. He wanted to plead with his eyes, but she turned away from him. When the song ended, the lights were dimmed. The cloth covering the ceiling was pulled to the side to reveal the glass dome. Then the first firework lit up the night sky. Everyone turned to look up, but Charlton continued looking at her. He knew that she knew that he was staring, but she chose to ignore him. He saw everything as if in slow motion. Serena was still looking up when Jeffrey moved his eyes down to meet hers. He smiled at her and she smiled back. Then, she inched closer until her face was directly in front of his. Serena could not believe ears, what more her eyes. She heard Charlton say that Emily was a fine catch and even thought of her as pretty. Then she saw Emily kiss him and him not even trying to push her away. What else could she say to defend him? That was conclusive evidence of his unfaithfulness. All this time, she has been torn on what to do about Jeffrey and how to escape her engagement with him. She has been thinking on how to live her future with Charlton. She was even willing to throw everything away for him. But lo and behold! Rather than the male lead seeing the female lead, it turned out to be her lover instead. The first drop of tear fell as her nose turned sour. She quickly wiped it away. How dare he? How dare he do this to her? She decided not to march in on the two as that was not her style. If Charlton wanted to play with her, then she can also play along. So, she purposely removed her dance card that was tied to her dress and let it drop on the floor. Let him see that and make him find her. She will definitely give him a show. If it were any other time, Serena might have thought things through and see things from a different perspective. But she has been mind-boggled by Leonard's words since Jeffrey asked her to the ball, then add Jeffrey's words earlier. She also consumed 2 glasses of champagne. So, she moved like a girl on a mission. Jeffrey in all fairness was just innocently standing at the side. He did not ask another girl to dance with him during the last 3 songs because he knew Serena's card was empty for those. He kept himself available just in case. Anyway, talking about his intended, where could she be? He did not quite catch her on her last dance as he still had to send his partner, Joan, to her next dance partner. He felt that Serena was avoiding him since he confessed to her earlier. He wanted to bang his head on the wall. Why did he always have the wrong timing? Maybe he should have waited for a better time to tell her those words rather than just randomly spouting them during the interlude for their next dance. Can anyone's confession be any less romantic than his? When Shostakovich's The Second Waltz was about to begin, he saw her approaching him. Then their eyes met. Without a single word, he immediately understood what she meant by the coy smile she gave him. He hoped that he was not reading it wrong, but she was walking towards him, and so, he moved briskly to reach her. Before she can say the words, he said them first, "Would you give me the honor of having this dance with you?" Then he bowed his head and offered her his hand. Serena gave him a smile she never gave him before, and it made his heart flutter. He did feel something similar before, but it never felt this strong. "Of course," she replied as she placed her hand in his. He brought her to the dance floor, positioning themselves between the others. He felt eyes on them as they were dancing for the 4th time tonight. He did not care. She was rightfully his and so, they can stare all they want. At the back of Serena's mind, a part of her was telling her that what she was doing was wrong. However, she did not want to stop. She did not think of the consequences her action might bring in the future. She had only one thing in mind. That was, to inflict as much pain to Charlton as he did her. TBC. Chapter 98. 98, The Ball 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Serena could always feel his eyes when he was looking at her. So, she just knew that he was there, staring. Then, their eyes met. She saw that he was pleading with his eyes, but she chose to turn away from him. Instead of just getting the dance over with to let Charlton explain, she chose to become more daring. She stepped a little closer to Jeffrey than what was deemed appropriate for the dance. Jeffrey on his part did not fail to meet her expectations. He pulled her closer to him, close enough that her breasts were almost touching his chest. In any other occasion, Jeffrey's personality would not allow for something this inappropriate. However, he too was drunk with the euphoria he was feeling. She was beautiful, too beautiful, and she was accepting him, or so he thought. When the song ended, the cloth covering the dome was parted, and the first firework lighted the night sky. Serena turned to look up like all the other students. Then, she saw Jeffrey staring down at her. He was smiling and she felt that the moment was just right. She knew that Charlton was still staring, and maybe that was what pushed her to do something even more stupid. So, she chose to smile back at Jeffrey, move her face closer to his, and then she made her lips touch his. Jeffrey was surprised, but he was a man. So, what would he do when the girl who he likes and was also his future wife took the initiative to kiss him? When she moved her face away after the chaste kiss, He stopped her from pulling away completely by placing his hand behind her, then he leaned forward and angled his face to kiss her in return. He disregarded the fact that they were in the middle of the dance floor as he enthusiastically kissed her. He even nibbled her lower lip and pushed his tongue inside her mouth just to know if she tasted better than she smelled. He didn't know how starved he was for her until he tasted her. Charlton felt his heart shattering when he saw Serena's lips touching Jeffrey's, even though it was just a peck that only lasted for a second. He felt angry and the jealousy was eating him alive. But nothing could have prepared him for what Jeffrey did. His eyes almost bleeding red. He saw how he held her at the small of her back as he leaned forward while at the same time pulled her closer to him. How he angled his face so that he can kiss her better. How with so much gusto he deepened the kiss. He didn't see Serena try to struggle. All he saw was them kissing at the middle without a care in the world. He wanted to go there, pull Jeffrey away and proclaim her as his. But it was she who took the initiative. Besides, what right did he have? He was nothing to her but her dirty little secret. Then another thought entered his mind. Perhaps, she was just waiting for this moment. Waiting for him to commit a mistake so she can just push him aside. Perhaps even from the very beginning, she was just using him. Now that Jeffrey started paying her attention, she chose to leave him high and dry. He clenched his fist in anger. Did she just toy with his heart? Was all of it a lie? He closed his eyes and tried to calm down. He took a deep breath. Not wanting to do something he would regret, he turned around and left. Serena was sobered up when she felt Jeffrey's tongue entering her mouth. She just meant to give him a peck, not to have him kiss her like the way he was kissing her now. She tried to push him away, but he was much stronger than she was and he was also quite persistent. When he got his fill, that was the only time he felt Serena's hand pushing him away, so he reluctantly parted their lips. He didn't know what got into him to act like that. Thankfully, everyone was busy looking at the night sky. Sorry. I don't know what got into me, he explained. Serena was more worried about Charlton seeing what happened. Her eyes looked at the spot he used to be standing at, and when she did not see him there, she started to panic. What did she just do? What kind of stupidity did she get herself into? Although she was angry and feeling betrayed, what she did was even worse. Jeffrey interpreted her look as her being surprised with what he did. He did not regret kissing her that way though. It was even better than he could ever imagine. Besides, she kissed him first. Meaning, she must like him too. She was not paying attention to what Jeffrey was saying as her eyes roamed around the area. Then she spotted him, about to walk out of the door. Serena looked at Jeffrey. All right, it was her fault for trying to use him. But did he have to kiss her that way? Anyway, she can only apologize to him. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. I have to go. Then, she lifted her skirt as she started running. She has never chased for a man all her life, but she was doing so right now. Jeffrey wanted to chase after her, but people started moving again after the display of fireworks was over, effectively blocking his way. Anyway, he did not let her words get to him as he smiled. He understood quite well that girls really liked playing the cat and mouse game. The cloth mechanically returned in place to cover the observatory while the ballroom again was lit up by the lights attached to the cloth. The orchestra continued playing random music, and although the dancing has already ended, for some, the night has just begun. TBC. Chapter 99. 99, Break. Up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Charlton. Serena shouted as he kept on walking briskly while she was running, chasing him like a fool. Charlton just kept on walking briskly. What else do they have to talk about? Charlton, stop. Listen to me. Serena yelled. When she finally reached him, she felt like she just ran a marathon as she pulled his arm. What do you want to say? Earlier, that was a mistake. I did not mean for that to happen. I think you know quite well what you were doing. Stop making me look stupid, Serena. I'm quite through with this game you're playing. He said, trying to control his anger. What game? You think what was between us was merely a game? Then you tell me. I saw everything with my own two eyes. You kissed Jeffrey, and you let him kiss you that way. Should I keep lying to myself that you still care about me, if you even cared about me? What do you even want from me? He laughed at himself as his eyes blurred. It was funny really. He thought only women would feel this kind of hurt from being used. If he really were to think about it, it was not his loss. She gave him her first and Jeffrey will never have that satisfaction. But it hurt so damn much. Serena, I was willing to throw everything away for you. Although I may not have as much as Jeffrey, I am still the only son of the Grand Duke. I am not a nobody you picked up from some corner. Do you even consider how I feel? That every time I am with you, I feel that I'm some kind of trash that is not even fitting to see the light of day. You think I am not willing to throw everything for you too? And don't tell me those words as if everything was merely my fault. Stop making your excuses. From the very beginning, you never did have the thought of breaking your engagement. I was skeptical at that time, but I ignored it. Because I loved you. I believed in every word you said. But I don't think I can trust your words anymore. Because if you had even an ounce of respect for me, you would not have done what you did. Ha! Don't act like you're some victim here. You think you showed me enough respect by that kiss you shared with Emily. I saw you, I heard the words you told her. So you kissed Jeffrey because of that. You think that's the same thing. Don't tell me that what you did was just some revenge device plot you made that has gone awry. Stop making me laugh. So, what if she kissed me? So what if I said those words? Doesn't that make you happy? At least now you can have Jeffrey to yourself. Serena felt so angry that she slapped him. I dare you say those words again. Charlton shook his head and laughed sarcastically. Thank you for that, I needed it to wake up. I'm sorry, Serena, but I don't think I can swallow being your dirty little secret any longer. Yes, he loved Serena, maybe loved her too much. But right now, perhaps he should love himself too. He still had some pride left in him. He can no longer continue being her dirty little secret. Also, he refuses to act like some kind of a doormat and let her and Leonard step all over him. So that's it. That's how little our relationship mean to you. You're breaking up with me. Have you considered what it was like on my end? Serena asked incredulously as tears fell from her eyes. He should also understand how torn she was regarding their situation. Charlton felt his resolve weaken when he saw her tears. But he clenched his fist to stop himself from wanting to comfort her. Yes, whatever ending this means. And just so you know, this relationship did not mean little to me. You said you're willing to throw everything for me, but I don't think so, you know why? Because even now, you only have one foot in and the other is still trying to find solid ground for insurance. I was just being practical. She defended. Charlton just shook his head. And that's the reason why this has to end. Then he turned to leave. If you leave now, don't expect me to welcome you back with open arms. Serena warned. He did not stop from walking. Serena was both incensed and regretful. A part of her was guilty for what she did, but a larger part of her was even more angry with the fact that it was he who left her. She did not think that Charlton's words were all correct. Yes, he was right that she had her other foot finding solid ground, but what should she have done? Announce to the world that she was breaking her engagement. How about her family here? Yes, she was being practical, but she was not a real young maiden who believed that they would survive solely on love. Also, he did not even deny that he said those words to Emily. Were the words he said just excuses to break up with her because he was falling in love with the female lead? Was the novel's plot that strong? But what of Jeffrey? Maybe because she showed interest on Charlton instead, that's why things were moving this way. She didn't know nor she understood. All she knew was that she was tired, angry, and sad. He left her standing there. He did not even give her enough credit. Just one mistake on her end and he broke up with her. Serena did not know what to do, so she just walked back to her dorm and tried to get some sleep. Her night was ruined, her relationship was ruined, and she did not know how to fix it. If she even wanted to fix it. She too has some pride. She already extended the olive branch when she chased him, and all she got was him breaking up with her. If he didn't want her, then she didn't want him too. TBC. Chapter 100. 100, Break Up 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Charlton went back to his room, lied on his bed feeling like the world was closing in on him. He actually said those words. But what else could he have said nor done? She broke his heart and stepped on it too. Aside from that, he could no longer carry on with things the way they were. Jeffrey wanted Serena, and she was rightfully his. Then, what of him? Should he continue being the little pest trying to get between them? Honestly speaking, he's regretting it now. But he too has some pride, and he can't take back the words he already uttered. He knew that he had been unfair to Serena. Yet, it was the truth. For if she truly did fall for him as he did for her, then everything else should be inconsequential. Thus, until she can truly show that she loves him, he would hold himself back. Serena was not able to sleep properly, and by 8 in the morning, she went down to stand behind the century-old tree. Fine, she admits, she was wrong. She loved him still, and maybe just like her, he will come there for a chance to meet her. If he shows up, she can still consider forgiving him. How she hates this era, no cell phone, so she can just give him a missed call and pretend like it was purely accidental. Anyway, she waited and waited, but he did not come. She was disappointed even though she knew that she had no right to be. But habits are hard to break. A part of her still expected that he will take some initiative to clear the air between them. This was where he waited before, so a part of her assumed that he will be there. Was that it? Was he really giving up their relationship? She could not understand why she was being the way she was now. But she could not stop her tears from falling. She was willing to listen to him, to forgive him, but did he even care? Serena stopped her tears. It was 11:30 when she decided to go back to her room. Leonard will come after lunch to fetch her as they were returning to their ducal home today. It would be no good to let him see her swelling eyes. Charlton had a bad hangover when he woke up. He vaguely recalled returning to his dorm and breaking up with Serena. He massaged his temple with his fingers. He wanted to continue being drunk, at least that way, the pain in his heart could be numbed. He looked at the clock. It was noon. He knew that she was going home after lunch today. He considered to just go and beg for her forgiveness. Although he did break up with her, he still loved her so. How could one night possibly change all his feelings for her? He sighed. However, nothing would change if he just gave in to her. He would take the gamble. It was all or nothing. When Serena and Leonard arrived at their ducal home, it was almost sunset. Their parents were there to welcome them. Serena, Leonard, welcome home. Duchess Celine greeted as she moved to hug the two. I'm glad to be home, mother, father. Serena greeted, trying to be enthusiastic when in fact she was just lethargic. Let's go in. I'm sure you both are tired from your long journey. Duke Simon said. Everyone nodded as they walked inside. Seeing that the two were a bit tired, they were helped to their rooms as their mother instructed them to rest and then join them to have dinner later. I heard that you were made class representative. I just knew that my daughter is the best. We're so proud of you, Serena. Celine said while they were having dessert. Serena can only nod and smile. If not because of her recent break up with Charlton, she would be quite happy today, regaling everything to her parents. By the way, I heard from a friend of mine that you attended the golden anniversary of Duke Legidi. How come you never mentioned it to us? Duke Simon asked. Ah. I didn't think it was worth mentioning. It was just a favor. I heard you sang a new song there. Would you mind singing it for us later? Celine requested as she shook her head to Simon. Simon sighed. Thankfully, Duke Legidi was from the neutral party, so he can let this matter go. Serena was in no mood to sing and play the piano. But she can play the discs. Anyway, she needed to tell them about it too. Thus, she decided to talk about her recording. Actually, I have recorded the songs at Mr. Edward Easton's Columbia Recording Company. I hope that you would not react negatively about this, but I signed a contract with them. Simon furrowed his brows while Celine was enthusiastic. Of course not. Now do tell us how it came to be and where are the recordings. Serena told them how she met Edward Easton, her recording and the profit sharing. Simon did not look at it very positively, thinking that his daughter does not need to work for some petty income. But when Serena showed them the phonograph and started playing the discs, he can only gape in awe. Celine was so proud of her daughter. However, she noted the pictures on the cover and could not help getting worried. Does her daughter really like a man other than the Crown Prince? You recorded the songs with Charlton, I see. Is there anything going on between the two of you? Leonard and Simon can only stare at Serena and wait for her explanation. Serena saw the worried look her parents were donning. She wanted to say yes, but they already broke up. So, she can only smile sadly and shake her head. That is good. Simon said as he breathed a sigh of relief. I believe that you should try to limit your association with that boy. Serena simply thought that her father was warning her because she was engaged to the Crown Prince. Anyway, they already broke up, so no need to mention that. TBC.